Have you ever felt drained, confused, or like you're constantly second-guessing yourself around someone who seems really nice? Maybe they come across as shy, humble, even generous. But behind that carefully crafted image, something feels off. This might not just be in your head. You could be dealing with a covert narcissist, the kind that hides in plain sight. If you're new here, I'm Dr. K, a marriage and family therapist with over 25 years of experience in diagnosing behaviors, treating emotional patterns, and helping individuals and couples succeed both personally and professionally. When most people hear the word narcissist, they picture someone loud, arrogant, and attention-seeking. Someone who demands the spotlight, talks endlessly about themselves, and makes everything about their wants and needs. That's known as an overt narcissist. But there's another, quieter kind of narcissist that often goes unnoticed. These individuals are just as manipulative and self-centered, but they wear a very different mask. They don't yell. They don't boast. In fact, they may even appear insecure, self-effacing, or highly empathetic. This is the covert narcissist. The covert narcissist uses subtle tactics to control and manipulate. They often play the victim, guilt-trip others, or weaponize their perceived sensitivity to gain sympathy and avoid accountability. Because their behavior isn't loud or obvious, the damage they cause can be harder to identify and even harder to explain to others. You might find yourself constantly apologizing, even when you haven't done anything wrong. You might feel like you have to tiptoe around their feelings, censor yourself, or keep the peace at the expense of your own needs. You might start to question your own judgment, your worth, or your sanity. Let's take a closer look at what makes covert narcissism so insidious, how to recognize the signs, and most importantly, how to protect your mental and emotional health if you find yourself in a relationship with one. Covert narcissists are often seen as quiet, sensitive, or introverted. On the surface, they may appear kind, self-sacrificing, or morally righteous. But underneath, they still crave admiration, control, and validation. The difference is in how they go about getting it. Rather than overtly demanding praise, they might manipulate others into giving it to them by appearing wounded or misunderstood. They often use passive-aggressive behavior, backhanded compliments, and subtle digs that make you feel confused or inferior. For example, instead of saying, "I'm better than you," they might say something like, "It's okay. Not everyone is as detail-oriented as I am," followed by a sympathetic smile. Instead of confronting conflict head-on, they might withdraw affection, give you the silent treatment, or sulk until you feel guilty enough to comfort them. This kind of manipulation is hard to spot because it's disguised as emotional vulnerability. You may feel sympathy for them. You may think you're the one hurting them. And over time, you begin to internalize that belief. One of the hallmark traits of a covert narcissist is chronic victimhood. They often portray themselves as misunderstood, mistreated, or unappreciated. Any attempt to confront them about their behavior will likely be met with defensiveness, blame shifting, or emotional withdrawal. You might hear things like, "Why are you always attacking me?" Or, "You never see how much I do for you." These statements are designed to make you doubt yourself and redirect the conversation away from their actions. They are emotionally manipulative strategies that keep you in a state of confusion and self-doubt. Covert narcissists also struggle with envy, but again, it comes out in subtle ways. They may belittle your accomplishments, undermine your confidence, or offer fake praise that feels backhanded. If you share good news, they might respond with a disappointed look or a lukewarm, "That's nice," before quickly changing the subject. They need to feel superior, but they don't want to be obvious about it. Instead, they chip away at your self-esteem over time, often under the guise of concern, sarcasm, or just being honest. So how can you tell if you're dealing with a covert narcissist? Here are some signs to watch for. They constantly play the victim. Nothing is ever their fault. They always seem to be the one who's wronged, misunderstood, or mistreated by others. They use passive-aggressive behavior. Instead of addressing issues directly, they express anger or resentment in indirect ways: sarcasm, sulking, backhanded compliments. They give with strings attached. Their generosity often comes with unspoken expectations, and if you don't respond with enough praise or gratitude, they become resentful. They lack true empathy. While they may appear sensitive or caring, their empathy is often shallow and self-serving. It's more about how they appear than how you feel. They invalidate your feelings. If you try to express how something hurt you, they dismiss it, turn it around on you, or accuse you of being too sensitive. They subtly sabotage your confidence. Through constant comparison, criticism disguised as concern, or minimizing your achievements, they keep you feeling small. They need constant reassurance. Even though they seem humble, they often fish for compliments or validation and become moody or withdrawn if they don't get it. They isolate you emotionally by making you question your reality, subtly undermining your other relationships, or creating drama that centers around them. They gradually become the center of your emotional world. If several of these behaviors sound familiar, you might be the target of a covert narcissist. And if that realization brings up feelings of shame, confusion, or grief, please know that you are not alone. Covert narcissistic abuse is real, and it can leave deep emotional scars. Because it's so subtle and insidious, many people don't even realize they're being abused until they're deeply entangled in the relationship. But healing is possible. The first step is awareness. Naming what you're experiencing is powerful. It breaks the cycle of self-blame and opens the door to clarity. Next is validation. Your feelings are valid. If you feel hurt, confused, or manipulated, there is a reason. You don't need anyone else to confirm that your experience is real. Trust yourself. Then comes boundaries. Covert narcissists do not respect boundaries, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have them. In fact, boundaries are essential for your healing and self-protection. It might feel uncomfortable or even scary at first, especially if you've been conditioned to prioritize their feelings over your own. But every time you say no, every time you speak your truth, you reclaim a piece of your power. Support is also crucial. Whether it's a therapist, a support group, or trusted friends who understand emotional abuse, surrounding yourself with safe, affirming people can make all the difference. You don't have to go through this alone. Finally, give yourself grace. Healing from covert narcissistic abuse takes time. It's not linear, and it's not easy. But every step you take toward understanding, self-compassion, and empowerment is a victory. Let's also touch on the concept of trauma bonding. Trauma bonding happens when intense emotional experiences, good and bad, are mixed together. Covert narcissists often create this cycle of idealization, devaluation, and intermittent reinforcement. One day, you're the most important person in their world. The next, you're being ignored or subtly criticized. This inconsistency can be addictive, keeping you hooked and craving their validation. Recognizing trauma bonding is crucial. You may find yourself defending them, making excuses for their behavior, or believing that if you just love them more, things will get better. But the reality is, it's not about you. It's about their need for control and validation. To break the bond, you must rewire your internal narrative. That starts with self-love. You are worthy of kindness, honesty, and respect. You do not have to earn your place in someone's life by shrinking yourself. You are not too much. You are enough. Rebuilding after covert narcissistic abuse is a journey. It might include therapy, journaling, mindfulness, and reconnecting with activities and people who bring you joy. It might mean reevaluating your beliefs about love, relationships, and your own worth. And it might mean learning to listen to your intuition again, that quiet voice that tells you when something doesn't feel right. The road ahead is not always easy, but it is worth walking. You are not broken. You are healing. Remember, every step you take toward understanding your experience, reclaiming your power, and setting healthy boundaries is an act of radical self-love. And if you're watching this video today, know this: you are already taking that step. If this video resonated with you, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who may need to hear these words. This channel is a space for support, education, and healing, and you're always welcome here. Until next time, take care of your mind, your heart, and your peace.